Alright. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises going on to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Machakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Right now, I'm in a secluded area. You know, this comes from the advice that Apostle Gabar gave to sometimes be, mix it up. Don't always be out in the same place in the open. Sometimes you gotta be secluded. And that's all through the spirit, because we're coming to a time where Esau is going to be looking for us, man. All right. The spirits are getting roused up. Esau's mad. Esau's hurt. So the best thing that we can do is to be, unpredictable and move in the spirit. But the thing I wanted to get into, I want to get into something else. But first, let's go to Ephesians, the 6th chapter. This is Ephesians 6. Excuse me. And I'll start at verse 10. It says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." All right, so we got to put on this whole armor, and this armor comes with the truth and everything that's encompasses, the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay, it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Man, that's who we're coming up against, man. We're coming up against the elites. All right, we're coming up against the demons that give them their orders. Because everything is spiritual, man. All these people out here, they have spirits in them. Their body is just a vehicle. When you look at the body, the word body goes back to the Latin, which is abode, all right, which means a house. Okay, basically it's a house. It means a house, if that's the correct word for it. But that's because it's just a vehicle for the spirit, man. All right, and all these people got spirits in them, and there's wicked spirits and there's righteous spirits. The brothers out here doing this work, right, until the end, those are the righteous spirits, the elect. Lord willing, that be of that number, you see. But the majority of these people are what? They're wicked spirits, man. So we're fighting against we're fighting a spiritual battle. All right. It says, "Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand." All right. "Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness." You see what I'm saying? "And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked," man. All right, through faith you're going to be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked, man. All right, not through carnal means, man. You're going to try and take out Esau carnally. Esau's blessing is what? Is the sword, man. So you can't take out Esau with the sword, man. You got to take out Esau through the spirit, man. All right. That's why the Israelites are the biggest threat to these Edomites, man. It's not the Black Panthers and any of these different groups, the Brown Berets or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, Esau has that carnal blessing, man. But through the spirit, Esau doesn't have a blessing. It says verse 15, matter of fact, verse 16, "Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you might be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints." You know what I mean? So at the end, and the Apostle Rakar always goes into praying, man. That's very important. Praying to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to make sure that you basically so that you call upon our power, man. You have to call upon your power today, because that's the power source, man. You know, and make sure that you get those spiritual upliftments, that you need, whether it's faith, whether it's strength, whether it's to sustain you, to give you your daily bread, keep the spirit on you, because many people have had the spirit and then the spirit was taken away from them, man. Really, ultimately, it's because they weren't chosen, man. It has nothing to even do with what they did themselves as people. All right, it was really set up for the foundation of the earth, and that's what Romans 9 tells you, man. And I thought this place was secluded. This place ain't that secluded. Thought it would have been secluded, but I didn't really have time to find a place that was going to be more secluded. So this is not even that secluded. It's just a totally different place from where I was before, This is Romans 9. I'll start at verse 10. It says, "And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High, according to election, might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth." You see what I'm saying? So that proves right there that Jacob really, the birthright that Jacob supplanted really always belonged to Jacob in the spirit anyway, okay? Because the Most High just said it. He said it was according to election, and it's not what any of the children did. All right, it was according to election. It was said unto her, "The elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? God forbid. For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the Most High that showeth mercy," man. So it's all about the Most High's will, man. That's what it's about, man. The reason why Saul the crown was taken from Saul, because of the wickedness that he did, right? Which was complete wickedness and disobedience. But guess what? He was set up to do that wickedness and that disobedience, because Moses was really the rightful king, man. All right? Moses was set up to be the king before the earth was created, man. So that was just a dramatic movie scene for that didn't have to take place, but because it's the purpose of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Matter of fact, let me go to that. Let me go to what's that? 2 Samuel, man, 11. This is 2 Samuel 11. Because this is gonna show. This is the wickedness. David did some serious wickedness, man. David did some serious wickedness, man. When you read 2 Samuel 11, man, it's like it's really cringeworthy, man. It gets you mad, but at the same time, you have to understand that King David is a man of the Lord, man, a chosen man of the Lord. King David is above all of us, man. You see what I'm saying? In righteousness, man, in the spirit. Okay. But the Most High set it up where he did wickedness just to show his mercy. This is 2 Samuel 11. Verse 2, it says, "And it came to pass in the evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house, and from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon." All right, and that, right? So he was looking from his house and he saw a woman. So let me just move this up. Standing on a hill. Fuck. It'd be a little bit difficult for me to do this, man. All right. Right? And it says, And David sent, and Salaki, I'll read that again. And it came to pass in an evening time, that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent the messengers and took her. And she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. All right. So David committed adultery right there, man. That was the wife of Uriah, man. All right. But David committed adultery with that woman. All right. Which is a sin worthy of death. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. So the woman even got pregnant from that, man. Imagine that, man. You know, you have a wife, and then the man lays with the wife, and then the wife is pregnant. That's a terrible scenario, man. You know, and David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down unto thine house? And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I go into mine house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing. All right, so that shows that he had character, man. That Uriah had character, man. All right, but David did that thing unto Uriah, man. You see, and he did more, and it's gonna go into it. And David said to Uriah, Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morning and the morrow. And when David had called him drunk, and when David and when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants. Even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, Set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. All right, so King David was telling Joab to listen, just let put Uriah in the most hot battle, man, the hardest battle. All right, put him in the forefront of that, man, so that he can die. All right. So David was trying to get him murked, trying to get him killed. You see what I'm saying? And it says, and it came to pass when Joab observed the city that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people of the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, when thou hast made an end of telling the matters of the war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, and he say unto thee, wherefore approached ye so nigh unto the city when ye did fight? Knew ye not that they would shoot from the wall, who smote Abimelech the son of Jerubbesheth? Did not a woman cast a piece of a millstone upon him from the wall, that he died in Thebez? Why went ye nigh to the wall? Then say thou, thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So the messenger went and came and shewed David all that Joab had sent him forth. And the messenger said unto David, surely the men prevailed against us, and came out unto us into the field, and we were upon them even unto the entering of the gate. And the shooters shot from off the wall unto thy servants, and some of the king's servants be dead, and thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David said unto the messenger, thus shalt thou say unto Joab, let not this thing displease thee, for the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage thou him. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house. All right, so that was murder that David did right there. You see what I'm saying? He basically set up Uriah to get murked, just so he can take his wife, man. You see what I'm saying? So that was murder right there. That was two sins worthy of death that King David did. All right, and it says, and when the morning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased Yahweh. All right, so that displeased the Most High. Of course, that displeased the Most High. You know, you see. But really, the reason King David did that was so it could be written down, and that could be an example, and the Most High could show his mercy, man, and his favoritism. All right, which a lot of people don't understand that. They don't get that. They don't get why the Most High chose Jacob over Esau. They don't get why the Most High was merciful to King David. They don't get that, you know. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him and said unto him, there were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. All right, then it goes into basically the story of, you know, the lamb, and how the person, you know, one person had a lot of flock and the other person only had one, you know, that he really loved, and how that one person took that to you know, dress that person's lamb, took that person's lamb instead of getting out of their own flock, man. You know, and that thing displeased King David, right? And he said that and King David's response to that was, that man should be put to death. But who Nathan was speaking about was King David, you know. And then King David mourned, and the Most High basically put a curse upon David, man. That's why there was never peace under the rulership of King David, man. He was constantly fighting against his enemies, man, because of that wickedness he did to Uriah, man. So he didn't get away, but at the same time, the Most High didn't put him to death. See, because anyone else, the Most High would have put to death. If Saul would have did that, well, Saul was already set up to get kicked out. You see, but if Saul would have did that, then he would have got kicked out. But guess what? If David would have done what Saul did, he wouldn't have got completely cast it off. Why? Because he's the chosen of the Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Because the Most High deals with favoritism, man. You know, he chose a certain people, right, which are the Israelites, and he has favoritism upon them, just like he has favoritism upon King David and the elect. You know, this is Deuteronomy 7 verse 6. And it says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth," man. All right, so the Most High chose Israel to be a special people above all people that are on the face of the earth, man. You see, that's why he has favoritism for Israel, man. He doesn't have favoritism for the rest of these nations, man. The rest of these nations, the scriptures say that they are unto spittle. They are as unto spittle to him. You see what I'm saying? Let me see Zephaniah. This is Zephaniah 2 verse 8, and it reads, "I have heard the reproach of Moab." Slack it. It says, "I've heard the reproach of Moab." No, slack. That's not what I'm looking for. It's not Zephaniah. It's Zechariah 2:8. My bad. This is Zechariah 2 verse 8, and it says, "For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye," man. And they touched us, man. These other nations, they touched us, but the scripture said that we're the apple of the Heavenly Father's eye, man. You see? So them nations are going to get messed up, man, when that time comes, man. And that time is coming now. It's fast approaching, you know. And the main one that's going to get judgment is going to be the nation of Edom, you see. But these other nations, they're not going to get away either, man. You know, they're not going to get away. They're going to have to pay their judgment as well. They're going to have to pay they're going to have to pay for their wickedness as well, man. They're not going to get away with what they did. Let's get Joel, the 3rd chapter. This is Joel 3. I'll start at verse 1. Okay, this is Joel 3 and 1. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem," all right, because the Most High is about to bring back our captivity, which means he's going to deliver us as he did it in Egypt. "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat," which that's going to be World War III, all right? They're gathered there right now in the Middle East, right, for that World War III, man, and that's all for the controversy of Israel, all right? "And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and departed my land." So the scripture said that the nations would scatter us. When did that happen to Amalek? When did that happen to the so-called Jew? Excuse me. When were they were they taken as a people and scattered amongst the earth, man? That never happened. That only happened to the Israelites, man. The Israelites were the only ones that were taken and scattered amongst the earth, man. All right? You see what I'm saying? The other nations weren't taken and scattered. None of them. All right? And it says, "And parted my land, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink." And when did that happen to them? Were they sold for wine and different things like that? That never happened to them. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, man. And that's what they did, man. They took the Israelites, they took us from the west coast of Africa, Portugal and Spain and different places that the Israelites were. And they put us in slavery in the transatlantic slave trade, man. They sold us to who? The Edomites, man. Right? Which is classified here as the Grecians. It just means the Edomites, man. Okay? That ye might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. So the Most High said, well, he's going to return the recompense of those people upon those nations upon their own head, man. They're going to have to get paid back for that. They're not going to get away with that. You see? And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people afar off. For the Lord hath spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. All right? Because at the end of the day, that World War III has to happen, man. It has to happen for that. First of all, America has to be destroyed. Okay? And Yahushua has to make his grand return, man, which is going to be in the midst of World War III. This World War III is important, man. You got people, they don't want World War III. Well, guess what? We want it, man, because we know that that's closer to our salvation. You see what I'm saying? This is Jeremiah 51 and verse 1. It says, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise against me a destroying wind. I will send unto Babylon fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy utterly all her host. Now, what are they going to be using to destroy? They're going to be using those nuclear missiles, man. All right. Thus saith the Lord. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. Okay, and that's not speaking about ancient Iraq. It's not speaking about that. Okay, it's speaking about. It's not speaking about Iraq, which is ancient Babylon. It's speaking about modern day Babylon, which is America. That's what it's speaking about. Okay, Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon. This is Revelations 18, and you can tell by the description, man. Even if you go to Revelations 18 here, the description has nothing to do with the ancient Babylon, which today is known as Iraq. It has nothing to do with that. And after these things, this is Revelations 18:1, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he carried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. All right? Which means what? There's going to be desert creatures living there, because America is going to turn into a desert. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornications. All nations have drank of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. That's not speaking about Iraq, man. The nations do not follow after the philosophies of Iraq. You know, they don't get rich off of Iraq. There's no nation nations don't get rich off of Iraq. Nations get rich off of America. All right. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached up to heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double, man. All right. So, you know what I'm saying? So, as simple as that, we can clearly see that this is not speaking about Iraq, man. This is speaking about Babylon the Great, man, which is America. All right. If this was speaking about Iraq, and guess what? That means Iraq has to be nations would have to be getting rich off of Iraq, man. Nations ain't getting rich off of Iraq, man. When you have these companies, man, these not these companies, these different nations, right? Like China and things like that. When they want to make money, they market their things to America. They don't market their things to Iraq, man. Okay, because that's a low level nation at this point, man. America's the top nation on the planet Earth, man. All right, and that's the nation. That's the top nation of. That's the top city of Edom. Okay, it's also known as Basra. It's also known as Basra. Okay, in the scriptures. See, you know. So that's plain, man. That's plain, man. You know. But with that,